All right, good morning. We're going to move on to grade 7, lesson 1-9, which is dividing rational numbers. So here we have a mixed number and we have a whole number. So we have to divide them. So let's start. So I want to turn my mixed number, here I'll write it up here. It's negative 3 and 3/5 divided by 6. I want to make that mixed number into an improper fraction to make things easier for me. So remember, we multiply the denominator with the whole number, and then we add with the numerator to get my improper fraction. So 5 times negative 3, or sorry, ignore the negative for now. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3, that's 18, and now the negative will come back. So we get negative 18 over 5, keep the denominator the same. And remember, 6 is the same thing as 6 over 1. We want to have a denominator for that, so it's 6 over 1. So remember, when dividing fractions or mixed numbers, we always want to do, we want to turn it into a multiplication problem to make our lives easier. So we could do same, opposite, opposite, which means keep the first fraction the same, then change division to multiplication, and then flip the other fraction. Or we want to do multiply by the reciprocal, keep and then multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to keep negative 18 over 5 the same. Let's draw it down here, actually. So negative 18 over 5, keep that the same. Then change division into multiplication. And then we are going to flip, or we're going to do the reciprocal, is the better word to use. 6 over 1's reciprocal is 1 over 6. And then we are literally just going to multiply, and then our answer will appear. So, negative 18 times 1, or multiply by 1, that's negative 18. Okay, 5 times 6, that is 30. Now, we are very close, but we should always simplify if we can. Divide both the top and bottom by 6, because 6 goes into both of them. It's the greatest common factor. And we end up getting negative 3 over 5, or negative 3/5. And from the beginning, just in case I want to check, I knew the answer was going to be negative because up here I had one negative number and I had one positive number. So a negative divided by positive, your final answer should be negative. Okay, this one's similar but a little more confusing. So this says 3 2/3 divided by negative 2/3. So I want to turn my 3 2/3 into an improper fraction. So that means multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator. So 3 times 3, that's 9. Okay, 3 times 3 is 9, yes, but let's add the 2, the numerator. So we get 11 over 3. That's what 3 2/3 is. And let's keep everything else the same, divided by. And because that negative is in between the 2 and the 3 on the bottom, this negative right here, we are going to just assume we could put it with the top or the numerator. It doesn't matter, though. You could put it with the denominator, but I like to put it with the numerator. Same thing. So we get negative 2/3. So now we want to keep and then multiply by the reciprocal, or same, opposite, opposite. So keep my first fraction the exact same, and we want to turn everything else into multiplication because that'll be easier for us. So keep the 11 over 3, change the division to multiplication, and then multiply by the reciprocal, or the flip. So the flip or reciprocal of negative 2/3 is 3 over negative 2. So they actually mean the same thing, the purple and the blue, but the blue will make it easier for us to solve. So now, 11 times 3, we should know that's 33. 3 times negative 2, that is a negative 6. 3 times 2 is 6, and then one of them has a negative, so it's negative. So last but not least, I have to figure out how many 6's fit into 33. I know that, keep choosing blue. I know that there's 5 6's that fit there. So, by the way, because the 33 is positive and the 6 is negative, there's only one negative answer. Now I can put the negative back in front. So I know my final answer is going to be negative 5, because 5 6's fit into 33. And then there's 3 left over, because 5 times 6 is 30, and we're 3 away from 33. So it's negative 5 and 3/6, which is the same as the final answer, which is negative 5 and 1/2, which is fully simplified. So I knew my final answer should be negative because back at the top, I knew one had a positive and one had a negative. So if you do a positive divided by a negative, even if it's fractions or numbers or whole numbers, doesn't matter. Improper fractions, positive divided by negative will always give me a negative. Okay, last question. The location of a submarine changes by negative 0.06 kilometers each minute. How much time does it take to get to the sea bottom? Divide the fraction of the sea bottom by the change in location of submarine. So if we do negative 3/4 divided by negative 0.06, that will help us arrive to our answer. So now, this is similar to lesson 1-8. We have one fraction and one decimal. So let's either make them both decimals or both fractions. And for what we've been learning, it makes much more sense to make them both into fractions. So I'm going to keep negative 3/4 the same because that's in a fraction form. And to make the negative 0.606 into a fraction, let's read it out loud. That's the same thing as negative 6/100ths. Negative 6 over 100 is the same as negative 0.06. So now I write negative 6/100ths. Okay, now we have to do my same opposite. That means keep the first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and then the opposite of negative 6 over 100, or flip, we could say. Sorry, we should not say same opposite. Maybe we could use keep, change, flip, or multiply, keep, and then multiply by its reciprocal. So here we go. Negative 3/4 stays the same. Okay, and then division turns into multiplication, so keep that. The first fraction, change division to multiplication, and then let's flip. We're going to flip our last fraction. All right. Here we go. So negative 3 times 100, that's negative 300. 4 times negative 6, that's negative 24. So because my final two answers both have negatives, they're actually going to cancel each other out, or negative divided by negative. I actually know my answer is going to be a positive. And it's a little difficult to arrive to the answer here, but I know that, so I know the answer is going to be positive. 24 fits into 300, just for time's sake. I know it fits into a 12 times. 24 times 12 will give us 288, and that means there's 12 left over. So it's 12, and then 12 over 24 left over, but oh, that's a 12. No, that's getting worse. Let's erase that. So this is 12 and 12 24ths, which is equivalent to 12 and 1/2. And again, the answer is positive because when you divide two negatives together at the original question, two negatives, negative divided by negative is a positive. So my final answer is 12 and 1/2. Thanks for watching. Hope